Hello and welcome to this episode of the Diary of a Lawyer, and I want to briefly talk about the ongoing sparring between Niger and France, diplomatic at this point. And this follows the regime's withdrawal and expulsion of the French ambassador and revoked his diplomat immunity. The regime revoked the diplomatic immunity of France's ambassador and ordered police to expel him from the West African country, according to statement from the military regime. The soldiers who ousted Niger's president more than a month ago gave French ambassador Sylvain Ite 40 hours to leave the country last week, and the deadline expired on August 28th without France recalling Ite. The French government said it doesn't recognize the comploters as the country's legitimate leaders, and French Foreign Ministry spokesperson Anne-Claire Legendary said Thursday the ambassador remains in place despite the expulsion threats. The communique sent by Niger's Minister of Foreign Affairs earlier this week and seen by press said Ite no longer enjoys the privileges and immunities attached to his status as a member of the diplomatic staff of the embassy. The document also says the diplomatic cards and visas of the ambassadors' families have been cancelled. The ambassador was told to leave Niger. When the ambassador was told to leave Niger in the first instance, the French President Emmanuel Macron said the envoy would remain in his post and he maintained family against the coup leaders, whilst insisting that France, Niger's former colonial ruler, is not the country's enemy. Now, since toppling the democratically elected president Mohamed Bazoum, the junta has leveraged anti-French sentiment among the population to show up its support. People shunned down with France and nearly daily rallies in the capital, Niamey, and at times in front of French military base in the city. It should also be noted that another country that was a former colony of France, Gabon, has also ousted its long-standing family rule leadership, although the individuals taken over is said to be cousin of the ousted president after the family have been in power in 56 years. Now, this follows the spate of coup d'etats in the region since last year. France has some 15 military personnel in Niger who trained and conducted joint operation with Nigerian security forces to beat back a growing jihad insurgency linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group. The operations have ceased since the coup, and jihad attacks are increasing. Insurgents killed around 17 soldiers and wounded nearly 24 this month, the first major attack in half a year against the army in Niger. Now, regional tensions are also rising in as the junta ignores calls from other West African countries to release and reinstate Bazoum, even in the middle of the threat of military force. The regional bloc, ECOWAS, deployed a standby force and ordered it to transition Niger back to constitutional rule. The force has not yet entered Niger, and the bloc says the door remains open to dialogue, but it won't wait forever. In the meantime, the regime has appointed a new government and said it will return Niger to the system of government prescribed by the constitution within 3 years, a time limit that has been rejected by ECOWAS. So the expulsion of the French ambassador and the revocation of his diplomatic immunity put France in a challenging position, although France has said that it would support ECOWAS in restoring an appropriate government in Niger. but also needs to protect its diplomatic staff. Now, in terms of the legal issues around diplomatic immunity, these come under the Vienna Convention, which deals with diplomatic immunity and diplomatic relations among countries. It's on a reciprocal basis, and immunity can only be waived under the Vienna Convention if by the home country. However, the host country can also choose to expel diplomats for various reasons, usually under acts such as espionage or acts inconsistent with their diplomatic duties, etc., and this is usually followed by a tit-for-tat expulsion. And then just broadly, the legal sort of mandate that underpins diplomatic relations internationally, and the Vienna Convention, which deals with diplomatic immunity and international law. So it's under those remits that appears to be the two protagonists, both France and Niger, are maneuvering. Each would appear claiming that they are right under this convention. Now, the inviolability of diplomatic envoys is widely recognized by most states to ensure that the exchanges of information and to maintain contact among societies is done in a safe and diplomatic conduct. And this goes back many years ago, until it was put solidified and codified in the Vienna Convention and international law, and which is, I think, in 1961. Briefly, this was covered in a previous episode, but the convention reduced the three categories of diplomatic representatives, which are ambassadors and aides of missions or equivalent rank, envoys, extraordinary ministers, plenipotentiary, and other representatives who enjoy the immunities adopted under the convention. And it specified three classes of heads of mission, as mentioned above, but ambassadors or envoys, ministers, etc. And so that sort of is within the remit within which the counterclaim and claims is conducted in this ongoing episode between Niger and France. But it's not just Niger. We've seen other countries in the region of Mali, Gabon, Central African Republics, etc., face similar circumstances, and there seems to be, whether justifiable or not, an ongoing resentment of the former colonial country, France, in the region, and this is just an escalation. And so that's where we shall leave it on this episode of The Diary of a Lawyer. Thanks for watching. I'll speak again. Thank you. Bye.